Good morning, Year 3. Welcome to another Science at Home with Mrs. Whitley. Now, I want to start this session by you just thinking about what happened in our last session. Can you remember what happened with the Cress experiment and what we learned? Excellent, well done. We learned that plants need sunlight to make their own food. I just want you to think about the question at the bottom of the screen. Can you remember what this process is called and how it works? I want you to look at the next couple of slides just to jog your memory. In our lesson today, we're going to be looking at water transpiration. One of the jobs of transpiration is the process of the water being moved through the plant. So the water comes from the roots into the stem and then it moves up into the leaves. The roots absorb the water from the soil. The stem then transports this water up into it through to the leaves. Water evaporates from the leaves. This evaporation causes more water to be sucked up from the stem. The water is sucked up through the stem like a straw. Thinking about what we have just learnt in the last slide, see if you can now explain the process of water transpiration to someone who's with you. Hello Year 3, welcome to Science at Home with Mrs. Whitley, live from my kitchen. Now so far we've been learning about plants, we've been learning about how plants grow well. In our experiment last week you'll remember that we planted some cress in a dark cupboard and we put some cress in the light on my windowsill and we watched over 3 to 6 days to see the change and how well they grew. We know that the plant on the windowsill grew green, it grew healthy, it grew tall, whereas the plant that was in the cupboard didn't grow healthily. It spiked upwards, it tried to get some light, but once it had grown upwards, it then drooped because it wasn't able to get the light it needed in order for it to create its food. Remember, that's called photosynthesis. Now, in our lesson today, we're going to look at how water transports through a plant. And we'll know that, here's a piece of celery, that the water will transport from the roots through the stem into the leaves. Now in our lesson today, we're going to see how this process works by using a glass, some water, our celery of course, and some food colouring. Now I want you to make a prediction. What do you think is going to happen if I put this celery in some water with some blue food colouring? What do you think we are going to see happen to our leaves? And I want you to just have a little think about that. And I want you to write a prediction in your book. Remember, a prediction is where you think about what you believe might happen and you try and explain why you think something will happen. So that's what I want you to do now. Pause the video and write your prediction. Hello Year 3, well done. So what you should have done is you should have written your prediction and now we're going to move on and look at the method for this lesson. So what I've got here is I've measured out 3 fluid ounces of water in my jug. I've got my food colouring here, my blue food colouring. I've got my stick of celery here, which you can see with the leaves at the top. And I've got my glass just here. So what I'm going to do, step 1, is I'm going to get my jug and I'm going to pour the 3 fluid ounces of water into the glass. So you can watch as I do that. So in goes all of the water. Okay, there we go. And then I'm going to get my blue food colouring, which is here, and I'm going to put some drops of that into the glass to make sure that it turns blue in colour. Okay, so here we go. Let's count the drops in. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So there's about 20 big drops there. Okay, so I've poured that into the water and you'll see that the water is a really nice blue colour there. Okay, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my celery and I'm going to pop that into the water, okay, and it's going to stay like that, and I'm going to watch this over the hour, every hour, just to see what happens and if there's any change. Remember, in the lesson today, we're looking at the water transporting through the stem into the leaves, and you should have made your prediction about what you think is going to happen. So here it is. You can draw a diagram of that in your book once you've written your method with the glass, the celery, and the water with the blue food colouring in. And I will bring you back here with the results. Here are the results of our celery experiment. I want you to really carefully look at the photographs in front of you and see if you notice any changes. Look at the photograph after 1 hour, look at the photograph after 2 hours, and then have a look at the photographs after 24 hours, which is the next day, which you will see coming up. And I want you to just think about what has happened to the celery. So you will see in these photographs that the water has been transported up the stem of the celery into the leaves, and the blue food colouring that has travelled with the water has changed the colour of the leaves. Now we're going to write the conclusion. Remember, the conclusion explains what happened and it gives a reason why. I want you to think about what we have learnt and what you have noticed through the results, and I want you to have a go at writing your own conclusion using the word bank on the screen in front of you. There is a model of a conclusion at the bottom of the screen which you can use to support your own writing. Welcome back to Science at Home with Mrs. Whitley. In our session today, we're going to be looking at the flower, we're going to be talking about its job, and we're going to be labelling the different parts of a flower. To start us off, I'd like you to list or draw as many flowers as you can in 1 minute. Go! Excellent, well done. I bet you came up with lots of different types of flowers. Maybe you can send me by email on Purple Mash some of the drawings that you've done, and then I can upload it onto the blog. So, we're going to look at what is a flower. Have you ever wondered why plants have flowers? And do you know what the different parts of a flower are for? On the screen in front of you, you will see a diagram of the different parts of a flower with their names. Have a look really carefully because you are going to create your own flower and you're going to label your own diagram. I would like you to draw the shape of the flower and then to use the words on the screen in front of you to label your own parts of the flower.